How's it? Today is Saturday, May 13th. Front squat, sumo deadlift, bench press today. It is a little bit different than last week. So last week I did work up to a heavy single for front squat. I did 148, I think. And then deadlift was 195. With the deadlift and the bench press, I did the top single with some down sets at like 75% of whatever that was. I don't quite remember my down sets, but I think I did 195 deadlift and then 255 pounds on the bench press. Today, because we're kind of moving more towards, I guess, meet prep, I'm no longer doing the heavy singles and I'm doing 3x3s at about 80% of my like best single, something like that. So I am front squatting for 125. I know it says 124 here, but I thought 125 was a lot nicer loading, and I don't know. I'm stubborn. I think the 1%, not 1%, the 1 kilo difference doesn't really matter as much. Here's my first set at 125. I was trying my best as warm ups here to get my shoulders and my upper back in the right positioning. So I actually did that straps on the bar, but that was a little bit too challenging. So I ended up leaving them off for the second and third sets. It's important to know that today my lower back started like seizing up before I started even lifting. My right sided of my lower back from yesterday was, I talked about it a lot yesterday, I think, was somewhat of a problem during the lifting, but it didn't really impact me as far as makes or misses, but it was an annoyance for sure. Today, like even before I started warming up, like literally as I got out of my car, my left side of my back started to kind of seize. I'm saying seize because it didn't feel like a cramp. It was a lot less sharp than a cramp, but it lingered for so much longer than a cramp did. And I wasn't sure if I should continue lifting. I elected to do so, obviously. Um, I don't think the deadlifts actually impacted it as much. It was that front squat position that kind of hampered me, and that was I felt the most pain during that slightly forward lean on the lower back. I would even necessarily say it's the lower back. It's definitely in the lumbars, but it's more towards like the middle of my back, so kind of like the upper portion, the more superior portion of the lats, or sorry, of the lumbars. And I I I'm trying not to be as worried as I actually am. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible because I don't want to deal with something like this. Um, it's great that tonight I'm actually not working because yesterday at work it was kind of, I don't know, problematic. That's what I said earlier. It was problematic. Tomorrow is Mother's Day, so I have the actual entire day at the restaurant. I'm working a double from like 8:30 to whenever the hell we close. So that is going to be interesting. We'll see what happens. As far as deadlift goes, work it up to my three threes at 160. Oh, sorry. So for front squat, I think I did my percentages off of 155 as my best single because 20% below that is 31 kilos down. So that would be, yeah, 124, so 125 ish, right? And then my best single for deadlifts ever is 200. Yeah, that was a couple weeks ago. And 80% of 120, or sorry, of 220 is 160. I'll try my best to keep a chest over the bar start position with my arms a little bit kind of, my scapula itself actually pulled to the side a little bit more similar to my snatch and my clean position start. Because at the end of the day, 160. If I were a competitive 73, which I'm not yet. I should say, I'm not yet a competitive 73 lifter. I should be able to clean 160, which is crazy to think about. So, um, trying my best just to make sure that as much transfer over for these lifts is occurring. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with the way that today was, given how painful my back has been. Like this dropping of the weight and then kind of standing up like that is hurting a little bit. And it didn't get worse throughout the lifting, so that is a positive thing. I think that if it had gotten worse, I would have stopped. I would like to think that at least. I'm not the perfect person. I do think that it would probably be difficult for me to stop just because I'm super stubborn. But it it is what it is. After those front squats and deadlifts, I moved into my bench press. My best bench is 125, so 275 pounds. Well, 80% of that is going to be 220, so 220 pounds or 100 kilos. That is very difficult to load in pounds, so I ended up actually doing 225 for three threes. Similar thing for me to load 124 versus 125. Um, I mean, with this perspective, loading 125 is the same amount of difficulty as loading 124. It's literally just instead of putting a red, you put a blue. But for loading 220 pounds on the bench, um, you got to use at least a one plate, 135, a five, and a two and a half. Is that right? That is right. But I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put two plates on there because I know I can do it. And yeah, I was right. No problems as far as that goes. Pretty pretty clean, I'd say. My hips do come off of the bench a little bit, but I do believe that my hips actually stayed in contact with the bench the whole time, which is, I guess, the marker for what an actual bench press is. And then after that, I finished off with just the back extensions because I didn't want to risk doing those dumbbell snatches just to get the bar or the dumbbell over my head, in light of how my back has been feeling. I know that this is still having extension on my lower back, but it wasn't creating any extra pressure. The pain didn't increase. If anything, it helped the pain a little bit because as I'm going down, I'm stretching a lot more than I was in almost any other position. So, yeah, I mean, strength day today, not too much else to say. I hope that my back starts to feel better soon. But that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Shoots.